Hello, welcome to the Energy News Beat Daily Stand-Up. My name's Stuart Turley, President and CEO of the Sandstone Group. Michael's out trying to dig up some business. Let's get ready to rumble. Stop the green hallucinations. Plan to close all 200 coal plants. This is crazy. Let's go to the next story. Biden-Harris EPA touts first climate change arrest of man smuggling greenhouse gases over the border. It was refrigerant. You can't buy this kind of stupid. Unbelievable. Can Europe afford its energy transition? In a word, no. Let's go to the next one. Closure of 4 nuclear power stations is delayed for fears of labor's net zero drive could cause electricity shortages and drive up prices. They're afraid of they're getting voted out again. Democracy is dead. A coup against right-wing movement is underway in Europe. This is just a nutty show today. Buckle up. Let's start with the first story. Stop the green plan to close all 200 coal power plants. Coal is the world's most abundant and reliable energy source. The United States has the world's largest coal reserves of 15 major coal-producing states. Montana has the largest coal reserve with 114 billion tons. There are 200 coal plant burning power plants in the United States, with many concentrated in Pennsylvania, Texas, Indiana, and the Powder River Basin of Wyoming and Montana. And I'll tell you what, worldwide, there's over 2,400 coal-fired power plants, and on the other 92%, of those, they're being done in China. Right now, China has 1,142 operating coal power fired plants and is now building 6 times as many coal power plants as the rest of the world combined. This story is from Ronald Stein. He is a good friend of the show, and George Harris. Ronald Stein is a really cool guy. He's got a great book. Love his material. And here's a couple great points in here. Given that China is also currently leading the world in construction of renewable energy sources such as wind and solar, China's increased reliance on coal contradicts the justifications offered by the CCP. This is absolutely horrific. The United States is buying all of this equipment that is fiscally irresponsible from the day it is set up. It is never going to meet net zero. A wind farm is fiscally irresponsible. I have been saying this for years. The more money we invest in renewable energy, the more fossil fuels we will use. And again, this is just another example of that. Shout out to Ronald Stein, great author. I recommend you follow him, and his newsletter is in the show notes. Biden-Harris EPA touts first climate change arrest of a man smuggling greenhouse gases over border. It was refrigerant. This is lawfare and stupidity. Today's guilty plea for the first ever HFC arrest demonstrates the EPA commitment to vigorously enforcing our laws at all U.S. borders and ports to prevent illegal HFC canisters from entering the United States. This is bullcrap. Absolute bullcrap. Tammy Nemeth, Irina Slav, and David Blackman. This is one of the stories that I've picked up from them. And David Blackman is dead on right. This is absolutely a travesty. Clean Air U.S. Attorney Tara McGrath, you should be ashamed. Champion the arrest. Clean Air is not for sale to the highest bidder. What about Secretary Mayorkas having the millions upon millions of illegals coming across our border? That is a bigger security threat than having a couple cans of AC come across the thing. Lee Zeldin, if you're listening to this podcast, you have got your work cut out for you for the EPA. I would love to visit with you on the podcast. I've got some ideas for you, and we want to hear how you can help solve and save money. I know you're the right man for the job and hope you can get through your approval process. Let's go to the next story. Can Europe afford its energy transition? Here's a couple key bullet points out of this story. A new report estimates the EU green transition could cost 1.3 trillion annually until 2030 and 1.54 trillion annually until 2050. Nobody can afford that. The high cost of transition may require higher taxes, subsidies, and potentially national green investment strategies. This is basically a wealth transfer from the middle class to the very rich, from the poor to the very rich. And so it's going to make the rich richer. It's going to make the poor and middle class non existent. The Brussels based energy outlet published a policy brief this week focusing that the EU needs to get its stated goals for net zero and how much it would cost. They are totally barking up a wrong tree, as we say here in Texas. They have no clue that it would actually do anything other than industrialize the UK. The green policies they're following are going to totally decimate financially the European Union, the UK. Absolutely pathetic. Let's go to this next story. Speaking of the UK, closure of 4 nuclear power plants is delayed over fears of Labour's net zero drive could cause electricity prices and shortages and prices rise. The nuclear plants earmarked for extinction will remain open following safety assessments and feasibility. The closure of the station would have been a major setback to Labour's plan to decarbonize the UK power system. Speaking last night at the life extension of the power plants, Mr. Mildenbrand said, "These extensions are a major win for our energy independence, powering up to 11.6 million homes for longer while we support good jobs across Lancashire, Teesside, and East Lothian. We can't achieve clean power by 2030 without nuclear. Nobody can. We need all the nuclear that we possibly can. In fact, this is going to be a trend that we see around the world. Old nuclear plants that were closed, I bet we see reopen. France, as Tammy Nemeth pointed out on the Nemeth report this morning, has said they're now investing back into their nuclear fleet. They had really pulled away a lot of the money away from it and really had not done a very good job maintaining their 54, I believe, somewhere around in their nuclear reactors. And so they're now putting money back into it so they can keep them going. And she pointed out, Tammy is a smart cat. She basically said so they could sell the energy to Germany because they're in bad way. Last story is also from the Energy Realities team. This one, though, was written and it was out on, let's see here, Zero Hedge and Tyler Durden, and he is a cool cat. I'll tell you what, democracy is dead. A coup against the right-wing movement is underway in Europe. I really enjoyed the conversation today with the Energy Realities on the Monday Morning Podcast. In Germany, the establishment is attempting to ban the reality of successful AfD party on the grounds they represent a return to fascism. Over 100 legislators backed the resolution. Here's what we're seeing. Around the world, the left has absorbed up into the climate and energy fallacy of green energy, and then the far right is supporting that, like the rhinos in the United States. We need to now have a worldwide awakening of people saying we want low cost, we just want to live our lives, we want to make sure that we can have our kids and raise our food and not be killed or anything else. So let's all try to get down that road. This article from Zero Hedge is absolutely wonderful. The elites are also attempting to use lawfare against Le Pen, conjuring charges of the misuse of EU funds. Lawfare is another form of them just trying to wipe out any conservatives. What we're seeing is a rise of the death of the rhinos in the United States. I, for one, am tired of any politician that is not America first. If you're a rhino, you need to be primaried. If you are a candidate wanting to go ahead and go out and challenge the rhinos, please contact me. I'm looking forward to interview anyone that is primarying out the senators that are not America first. I want to help support that in any way possible. Now, with that, like, subscribe. This is the tax season. My investments in oil and gas are giving me about 32% plus about a 98% tax deduction. If you need a tax deduction, shoot us a note on energynewsbeat.co/, and then go up to the top of the menu bar there and say, is your portfolio okay? Fill out the form, and I'll send you a note over to the folks over there at Pecos Operating. They are an outstanding oil and gas firm. They send me my mailbox money on the investments that I've made. It is an outstanding investment. I like my tax deduction. I can turn you over to them and enjoy yourself a healthy Christmas tax deduction for yourself as well too. So, with that, like, subscribe, share, hug your pets, tell your friends, and then read this to your neighbors a few times, especially if they voted for somebody else. Thanks. Have a great day. We'll talk to you all soon.